Hey everyone, welcome back to Chef Ramon. I'm gonna do today a vegan dish from Mallorca, sunny Mallorca, and we're gonna use all the vegetables that I'm gonna show you in a bit with the ingredients. We're lucky because we've got all of them growing here locally, which I really like very much. Tumbet is basically a vegetable dish with tomato sauce, which I'm gonna show you how I do the variations. And I'm also doing a variation on the entire plate, because what the Mallorquins do is fry the vegetables in a lot of olive oil, which is really, really nice and very yummy. But I do have a more healthier version by grilling the vegetables first, so I'm going to show you that. And we are very lucky in Mallorca because, of course, we have all the vegetables growing here, and I'm a big fan of local produce. So I'm going to show you that, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Right, I'm going to show you the ingredients now. First, we're going to start with the vegetables. As you can see here, I've got several vegetables. I've got a nice red pepper, local Mallorquin. I've got 2 onions. I like to use 2 onions, one red, one normal one, because of sweetness and a bit of sourness. So it gives a nice tang, but you can always use just one kind, no problem at all. I use fennel. This is my own addition to the recipe because I like the taste. I also use a green pepper, as you can see here, and I use a carrot for sweetness, and I use an aubergine or eggplant in American, and this is basically the Mallorquin one, so don't be disturbed by the color. That's how it looks like, but it tastes exactly the same as a normal aubergine. Then I managed to find a nice big courgette, so that one, which is also called zucchini in American, I use for the vegetable section. Okay, and then so that's what I'm going to show you first how to cook, but then we're going to move over here to the ingredients for the sauce. Now for the sauce, I have some wine which I'm going to use, red wine. I've got some rosemary here in Mallorca. We have lots of these growing wild, and this gives the Mallorquin sort of taste, so it's very important. I use half a bulb of garlic, and I'm going to use the machine, I'll show you later, to chop it off, or you can do it by hand. I've got some 2 cans of plum tomatoes, and I've got some fresh tomatoes. It gives a different contrast because these are more watery and these are less watery. From the spice perspective, I use basically coriander seeds. I use about 2 tablespoons of that. That's my own addition as well to the recipe. This is also these 2 herbs are also spices, sorry, are also my own addition. I use 1 teaspoon of curcuma and half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and it gives it that Moorish Mediterranean sort of taste. I will see you in the chopping section. Okay, so we're going to be chopping now. I've washed all my vegetables, peeled my potatoes, and by the way, in the ingredient section I forgot potato. It's quite an important point. I'm getting better at this video stuff. So I'm going to show you how I want to chop them and grill them, okay? So the potato, you basically have to chop them this thin, okay? Doesn't matter if it's not equal or not, but about that thin, because we're only going to grill it and then later put it in the oven, okay? And same thing with zucchini or courgette. I do that a little bit bigger because it has a lot of water, and it can afford to be. So again, doesn't matter if it's equal or not, but I do it in equal parts like this, okay? Same thing with aubergine. So I've got my aubergine here. Let me just take that bit off. So I do also about that thickness, okay, of the aubergine. In terms of your onions, you want to basically do rings. So you do rings like that. Again, you don't have to really worry about the size of it, but basically you want rings like this, okay? I normally take the middle out because the middle is sour and not nice, and then the whole thing goes on the grill, which I'll show you. In terms of the carrots are important to cut them sort of on an angle, because then you've got more color, you've got more space on your pile up when you do it later. So I do them about this thick, okay? The point of this is that you want to taste everything and must not be mushy. In terms of peppers, so I've taken a bit of my pepper that I showed you earlier, and I'm gonna do it long ways. Okay, do them like this, and you will see later. This one is particularly large, so I'm gonna do it in half, but you need it about this size. Okay, same thing with my green peppers and fennel. Same as the onion. You want to basically cut it like that. Okay. Now on the fennel, I have kept this part for my sauce. You don't have to, but it's got a nice touch and it smells lovely even from here. Okay, now when you cut your aubergine and stuff while you're waiting, what I normally do is I put a little bit of lemon on my aubergine. Why do I do that? So that it doesn't discolor, and that also gives it a nice taste, but you don't have to do that if you do it all quickly. Okay, now we're gonna go to the next section where I show you how we grill everything. Cut. So I've chopped all the vegetables, you can see here, as I showed you before, and my onions and potatoes are here. Now I've created this raw so you can see how it's supposed to look like. So after you've grilled everything, you can do it on a barbecue, or you can do it on what I'm about to do, which is on the hob. But basically I've got the potato at the bottom. That's very important. You put the potato at the bottom, and then you can put anything else on top, and then get it to this beautiful colorful thing, and you will have lots of these on your dish. What I do normally is, if I have a big party in the morning, I start preparing, because it only takes 45 minutes with the sauce and everything, and I use this, the oven dish, and I basically put my piles after I grilled them onto here, and it's ready to go in the oven with a bit of sauce. When your guests come, it takes 15 minutes, and you can serve them very rapidly. You can also, of course, if you do a smaller portion, you can also do it in a Pyrex, which is also a good idea if you're only 4 people. So today, as I've chopped a lot of vegetables, I'm going to do it in this way. So what I've done is I've got a pan warmed up here at the highest degree, and I start normally with my potatoes. So I put my potatoes there to grill, and one by one I keep doing them, and I pile them up in my dish as I showed you how to pile them. Okay, now what I've also done on my vegetables is I've done some salt and pepper on them, so that they already have a little bit of taste. The sauce already will have a lot of taste on it, so that's good. You can also put all your vegetables together, but I tend to do it myself. This is my fennel. I tend to do it myself step by step. So I do my potatoes first because that's the bottom, then I do fennel, then I do aubergine, then I do courgettes, then I put my carrots and peppers, etc., and onions. It's very important that the potato goes at the bottom. That's very important. That's the most important part of the whole deal. Okay, so whilst I've done all that stuff, I will come back to you when it's all done and piled up, so you can see how it looks like, and then we go on to the sauce. Okay, so I grilled all my vegetables, as you saw before. I just want to show you that I didn't really grill them to death. I just grilled them so they have that nice, beautiful grill color. If you do it on a barbecue, it's even better because it gets a different kind of taste to it. And then I kind of did my potato first, and you can pile up anything else in front. I did my potato, carrots, then I did fennel, then I did aubergine, I did courgette, then I put my onions and peppers and all that. Okay, so that's ready. You can leave that, as I said before, you can leave that, and then when your guests come, you just put it in the oven for 15 minutes with the sauce, which I'm just about to show you, and voila, it's ready. So let's move on to the sauce. Alright, as I mentioned before, I like to put my normal beautiful herbs and spices and things. So I've got 1.5 or 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds. If you saw before, I've got some salt in there. In Mallorca we have a lot of humidity, so I always put salt so that it absorbs the humidity. And I like to put always some cayenne pepper in it because it gives it that spice, but you don't have to. Then I've got turmeric here, so I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of turmeric. Remember, you don't have to use too much of that because it's very strong. And a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, now I'm going to ground this. This recipe that I'm making, I invented it in the in my boutique hotel, and it was really popular with the guests. And then I kind of variated it in the restaurant that we opened with my wife in Belgium, and it was also very popular, especially for the vegetarians. So I hope you really enjoyed it. Okay, so I've kind of really ground it. It's very important to ground very well the coriander seeds, because otherwise you get bits and pieces in it. Okay, so now I'm done. Now let's move on to the hub, so I can show you what I've got here. So what do we have? Remember, we have garlic, we've got tomatoes in the can, the plum tomatoes, we've got chopped tomatoes for variation, we got garlic. And here I have a bit of wine, which I'm going to put in, but that's enough. So I would use half a cup of wine, and I have some water just in case I need it. I always have that for balance. And of course, olive oil, Spain's favorite. So I'm going to put that on a nice sort of hot stage. Add a good glug of olive oil. Don't worry, it's not that fattening. And then what I'm going to do is add my garlic. So remember, when you add garlic, you don't want to put it on a very, very hot oil, because otherwise it burns, and burnt garlic nobody likes. Now this garlic is starting to cook, and you will hear it sizzling in a minute. The next thing I'm going to be putting in there is my beautiful spices. Okay, you gotta fry these spices, because turmeric especially needs a bit of frying. So you can see now, I put that on a higher heat. You can see now it's starting to sizzle. That's nice. And I don't want it to be really like frying for a long time. So I let it fry like that a little bit, and then I'm gonna add my wonderful spices to it. Okay, so you can see beautiful sizzling, and if you are here, the smell is absolutely lovely. So we're gonna fry that for about, I don't know, about a minute, to make sure that everything is nice and fried with the garlic and all the tastes are in there. So as I said, this is a recipe which is loved by many people. I hope you really enjoy it, and don't be afraid. I mean, I know all the prep takes a long time, but you can wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, as I do, and you can start prepping all this, and then once the guests come in, then you have it all very easy. Right, so now at this stage, as you can see, I didn't take so long to do that. I'm going to add my tomatoes. Give it a good stir, and then I'm going to add my plum tomatoes from a can. Another can, and then I'm going to add my wine, and here I have the beautiful rosemary from Mallorca, so I'm just going to peel it off like that and put it all in. Okay, that gives it a beautiful aroma. And remember, from my fennel, I found that, so I'm just going to put that in as well. Now I'm going to get some salt and pepper and put that in. Okay, of course, as you go along, you can season it to your taste. At the moment, I just put a little bit, because I don't know how it's going to be after boiling a little bit, because don't forget, wine has salt in it, so you don't want to salt it too much at the beginning. So I put a bit of salt in it, and now I let that boil, and then I let it simmer for about half an hour to 40 minutes, okay? And that sauce will be ready to pour over those beautiful tumbets that we just made. What I do is I put a little bit on top of the tumbet, which I'll show you later, and put the tumbet in the oven, which takes 15 minutes just before the guest comes. And then the rest of the sauce, I'll keep it hot, and as I serve it, I pour it over, I put more sauce over the tumbet. You will see that in a bit. Cut. So the sauce has been here for around 35 minutes. You can see I've been seasoning it as I go along. I've been pushing the tomatoes so that they're not so chunky, but we do want a little bit of chunkiness. And what I'm gonna do is going to now show you. I'm gonna leave the heat on. It's on a medium heat as it was simmering. I'm gonna leave the heat on because it's a serving time. So, because I'm gonna use some of this sauce afterwards on the actual plate. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you. So my oven is preheated to 180 degrees, and I'm going to take this beautiful sauce over to our lovely tumbet that we made earlier. And you know, there is no rule, so put as much or as little as possible on it. Make sure you keep some sauce for later. So I'm going to put some of that on top. Don't worry if things go wrong at the end. When it goes on a plate, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So you can see I'm just putting some there. And you know, at the bottom, I also added some olive oil so that things don't get too sticky at the bottom. Okay, now what I like to do, so that's the amount of sauce that's left from what we did. I'm going to put that back on the heat. The longer it boils, the better. Now, I like to make my own olive oil. So because we're in Mallorca, we have a lot of what we call romero. I've put some in the olive oil for a long time, for a couple of months, and so I'm going to put some of this on top. Okay, you don't need to do this, but if you have got some, you've got some time, especially with COVID stuff, so do it. It's really nice. Now, this is now going to be put in the oven for about 15 minutes, okay? So I'm going to put it at the medium shelf, 180 degrees, and 15-20 minutes, and then you can take it out. So I'll see you at the serving. We've had this beautiful tumbet in the oven for 15 minutes. Turn the oven off, put the tumbet here. Now the serving. So look how beautiful that looks. So I'm just going to take, for example, this one. Okay, do it carefully. Put it on a plate. And remember, the sauce was still on a little bit of a heat. So I'm going to take the sauce, and I'm going to put this beautiful sauce over it. Okay. Look how beautiful that looks. And of course, for decoration, you can put a bit of rosemary because it's full of rosemary. And now, of course, the time has come to taste it. The beautiful thing about this is that all vegetables will be, every layer will taste beautiful. So I'm just gonna cut it in the middle. Cut it again because my mouth is not that big. And take a little bit and say cheers to you. Hold on a minute, it's hot. The taste is lovely. Cheers and thank you. Hope you enjoy this. Cut.